Hello and welcome to a fresh new edition of Markets Forward, your go-to show where we aim to get you all the key data points to gear you up for the next trading day. I'm Reema Tendulkar and with me is Ekta Batra. Hi, Ekta.
Hi, Reema. Yes, absolutely. Well, today was quite an exciting day of trade, you'd have to say. But before that, let's tell you that we have got you covered for the next 20 minutes with all the big news and the key developments on the Lal Street, the top corporate voices and events to track. Let's, in fact, kick off the day with the market action. Well, Reema, quite an exciting day of trade.
Indeed, but by the end of it, we're still very much range. The Nifty's range between the 24,500 mark, even the intraday low today was 24,526. But what was heartening was that recovery that we saw in the middle part of the session and the spike towards the close of trade. On adjustment, the Nifty is closing largely flat, but above the 24,700 mark. Mid-caps and small-caps outperformed. The mid-cap index was up nearly 0.6%. The small-cap index was up close to about 0.5%. And we had a positive advance decline ratio. Sectorally, the losers today, we'll talk more about it, was metals, IT also on the back foot. But on the way up, FMCG and realty came in for some amount of buying.
Okay, well, yes, absolutely. In terms of a couple of key indices which lost out in today's trading session was the Nifty IT index, which was a bit weak today. We had a couple of others such as the Nifty Metal, which was down around 0.7% as well. But on the other hand, just watch out for what took place with the India VIX, which spiked up around 6.7% in today's trade. And the Nifty PSU Bank Index also, which went home in the green. So overall, it was a mixed day. It was range bound for the frontline indices. The mid-caps, however, did better. Today, the Bank Nifty also managing to pick up pace. But let's tell you what we have for you in store today. We start with the top movers and shakers of the day with Vivek. Auto sales were mixed bag in May. Maruti met expectations while M&M outperformed. FMCG stocks also saw a lift after the government slashed import duty on crude edible oil from 20% to 10% to help rein in prices. Stay tuned. We'll bring you that and more in just a bit. Last but not the least, we delve into the key market events to watch out for tomorrow's trading session as well. All right, well, on to our first segment of the day. Vivek is standing by from the big wall with all of the top stocks and movers of the day. Vivek, over to you.
Well, thank you so much for that. Another session where you actually saw the broader end of the markets outperform. Market breadth was quite strong. And in fact, like you've been mentioning since the start of the show, it was actually the FMCG pack amongst the top gainers in today's trading session. Like you mentioned, crude edible oil, the import duty there was cut in half. And if you look at some of the stocks, especially that benefit from that particular element being as a key raw material input, look at names like Godrej Consumer, Britannia, both up over almost 2% in the session today. Tata Consumer Products too managed to end in the green. The other set of stocks that did quite well was the entire PSU banking pack. A lot of positive news flow coming in over there. Look at some of the names here. Bank of Maharashtra up over 6.5%. Indian Bank, one of the strongest movers. This particular stock was on good volumes as well. IRB, Union Bank, Central Bank of India. All of these stocks matched to end with strong gains today. From the pharma pack, you saw AstraZeneca, one of the last stocks in the pharma space to go ahead and declare its results. The top NSE 500 gainer, up 17%, highest volumes in quite some time as far as AstraZeneca was concerned. And the realty pack, remember, on 6th, you do have expectations of rate cut coming in, and the entire realty pack, moving up in anticipation of a rate cut. Brigade Enterprises, the top gainer, almost 7.5% higher for that particular name. From the broader end of the markets, one from the auto tank space, FM Industries, very good set of numbers. Q4 was strong. That stock ended higher by almost 10%. Amongst the list of laggards, Nykaa, despite what was a very encouraging Q4, this particular stock saw quite a bit of a sell-off, almost 5% lower here. IT pack, like you mentioned since the start of the show, the entire pack did see some selling pressure at higher levels, and Emphasis, one of the top laggards there, almost 2.5% lower. Inox Wind, this particular stock, had moved up higher after the very strong results of Suzlon, but an execution miss as far as FY25 is concerned led to a bit of a sell-off, 5% lower for Inox Wind. And lastly, very large block deal happened in Niva Bupa, but the stock didn't recover after that. In fact, last couple of trading sessions, this stock has lost almost 12 to 15%, and Niva Bupa today down 10% in the session.
Thank you very much for that big block deal weighing, as Vivek said, on Niva Bupa. Ambareesh, Baliga and Thakkar of ICICI Securities are with us on the show. Ambareesh, thank you for waiting back. And Jay, welcome to the Markets Forward. The start of the week was fairly quiet and we're still ranged. So on individual stocks, can you tell us 1-2 stocks that would be on your watch list for tomorrow?
Good afternoon to you, Rima and Ekta. Well, definitely, we see the momentum is quite in favor of the PSU banking pack and overall banks. Banking and financials are doing good. Apart from that, Nifty Realty is also expected to do good in anticipation of a decent rate cut this time around. I mean, anticipate 50 basis, but I think that the minimum 25 basis is definitely coming, and hence we are seeing this kind of momentum coming in Nifty Realty, Nifty banking, or maybe financial services. Is hence I would say that from the PSU stocks, Bank of India. I mean, that is one stock which I think Rima is likely to continue its uptrend because it has given a good breakout and we have seen a good long build-up happening here as well. So it can inch towards 135, 140 levels at least in the near term. HDFC Bank from the private sector bank, I think the consolidation more or less has been done. It has been consolidating within a triangular pattern. We have seen a long build-up here. The FIs are also increasing the stake here. I mean, since past two quarter, if we see, then this is one stock from the private sector bank wherein the FIs have increased their stake. So this stock is also likely to provide a breakout. It was down today, but then 2000, 2050 are the levels which I am looking out for in HDFC Bank, and Ramco Cements is one strong because I think that overall infra and realty likely to gain. Then the cement pack is also likely to gain. So I think 1050. 1100 is the levels which one can look out for in Ramco Cements when this construction materials is likely to do good. And the final stock will be Loda. Nifty Realty, as I said, is likely to do good. So 1475, 1500 are the levels to watch out for. I mean, macro tech developers or Loda is also expected to do good, in this week.
Okay, well, Ambareesh, hi, welcome to the show. Well, we do have the RBI monetary policy at the end of the week. What is your sense in terms of what we could expect, especially post the GDP numbers? And do you think that would probably be quite a determinant for the markets?
Yeah, because you look at the GDP numbers, you look at the inflation data. I think the market is expecting a 25 basis points, including myself. So I think that's what we should see. In case it's higher, it would be really surprising. But I think 25 basis points is what the market is discounting already for.
Got that. Let's talk about auto sales. Auto sales for the month of May are out. It's a mixed bag. Sudarshan is here with the details.
So except a few, most of the companies have either reported sales that were largely in line or higher than estimates. In the four-wheeler space, M&M continues to outperform the peers. It's both the segments, auto and tractor segment, have reported sales that were better than estimates. For Maruti, sales were largely in line with estimates, while domestic sales have seen a decline. Exports have seen a healthy growth. And reason of domestic sales seeing a fall because the entry-level segment has seen a decline of almost 13%. Next is Hyundai Motor. Like Maruti, here also domestic sales remain a drag and overall sales were largely below estimates. Domestic sales have fallen 11%, while exports have seen a minor increase of 3%. For Tata Motors, sales were much below estimates, except bus segment. All the segments have seen a decline. Ashok Leyland, which is a pure CV play, it has reported sales that were much better than estimates, led by M&CV segment. Total sales have seen an increase of 5%. M&CV sales were higher by 11%. Even LCV sales have increased by 5%. In the two-wheeler space, two companies that have been outperforming over the last few months, even in the month of May, these two companies, TVS Motors and Eicher Motors, have outperformed the peers. For TVS Motors, all the segments have seen a growth of at least 14% or more than that. Total sales were up 17%. Two-wheeler sales have increased by 16% and electric vehicle sales were higher by 50%. But on the electric vehicle, company is saying that there might be a disruption in the supply of rare earth magnet and that may impact EV sales in near to medium term. For Eicher Motors too, sales were much better than estimates. Total sales have increased by 26%. Sales with engine capacity up to 350cc have increased by 28% and above 350cc segment sales were higher by 16%. And export contribution for Eicher has been increasing every month, and because of that, export sales also have increased, and that was a healthy increase of almost 82%. For Bajaj Auto, sales were largely in line with estimates. Total sales were higher by 8%. Domestic sales were flat, while export has seen a healthy growth of 22%. One company in the two-wheeler space that has been underperforming the peers is Hero MotoCorp. Even in the month of May, its total sales were much below estimates. Total sales were just higher by 2%. Motorcycle sales increased by 1%. Domestic sales were up 2%, and export sales were flat. So if in one line I have to say about the May auto sales, it was not a bad month considering the challenging environment.
Okay, all right, Sudarshan. Thanks very much for that. So mixed bag for the month of May. But we did speak to Mahindra's automotive CEO, who said the company is more focused on increasing volume than market share. Take a look.
Market share for us is an outcome of the traction we see with our customers on our portfolio. So we don't necessarily put out a target for what our market shares need to be. We are focused on delivering on the volume projections that we put out there, and most importantly, on delivering to the customer expectations in terms of their bookings as well. So that's really what we are focused on. Now, of course, as we see what the industry projections are and the overall numbers, if we continue to keep this kind of pace and we do mid to high teens, I would think that there's a natural conclusion that there shall be some market share. But that's not necessarily something we're chasing on an ongoing basis.
Staying with auto, Parikshit also caught up with TVS Motors' Sudarshan Venu on their EV lineup and the key headwinds for the sector in EV industry. Listen in.
We are committed to building all segments in EV that we believe make sense. And so we have the TVS iQ, which of course has done well. We have now started retail of the TVS X, which is sort of a flagship scooter, which shows the capabilities of what we can do in terms of technology and materials and really creating a fantastic riding experience. And you're resonating with the young customers in terms of connectivity, in terms of use of advanced materials, in terms of design. We're also launching another electric scooter this year. And we've done the One Make Electric Racing Championship and also the electric three-wheelers and electric bicycles as well. At the same time now, there is this whole supply chain challenge in terms of China banning the export of rare earth, high rare earth HRE magnets, which are actually very important for our motors and other parts of the EVs. So this EV supply chain disruption is certainly going to pose a short to medium term challenge. And I think as India plans its EV strategy and EV plan, the adoption will have to be phased in or phased up, along with developing an Atmanirbhar supply chain in India, where India, as the world's leading two-wheeler market, which has produced 3 of the top 5 companies by volume globally, has its own supply chain, its own R&D, its own capability, and EV is really built on that basis.
Okay, all right. So that's on the auto space. But Jay, just wanted your thoughts a little bit in terms of the top movers this afternoon. In terms of stocks, we had Adani Ports, which really topped the list, up 2.5%. And along with that, M&M as well, which was up around 1.6%. So what would your view be on both of these counters?
Well, see, definitely, Adani Ports, I would say that Ekta is likely to do better from here on as well. In fact, we have a positive view on almost all of the Adani group names because we are seeing good short covering happening out there. And as far as Adani Ports is concerned, in fact, this is one stock wherein we are seeing good long build-up. We are seeing continuously high tops, high bottom. The momentum has been positive at most of the degrees from daily to weekly, monthly charts. So I think that this stock is likely to head towards the upper end of the range, which has been around 1550, 1600 levels. And going forward, I mean, this calendar year or financial year overall should be good for Adani group of stocks. They have corrected quite a lot and started to reverse, especially Adani Ports has been one of the outperformer. Is likely to perform well. M&M, I mean, this has been one of the outperformer Ekta in the auto pack so far. Overall, in the rise as well as in the fall, it did not fall much as compared to other stocks. But I think that, M&M now is stuck in a range. I mean, until 3200 levels aren't taken off on the upside, it might just consolidate here. So my view on M&M would be that if at all you get a breakout about 3200, you will get the momentum and thereafter you can ride the same. Else, you would see some profit booking at the high levels and the stock might consolidate within a broader range of say 2800, 2900 to 3200. However, for the medium to long term outlook is positive. I mean, rate cut is also likely to benefit the auto names going forward. So auto, realty, all of these are likely to perform going forward. But in the short term, 3200 level is the near term resistance.
Got that. Let's talk about the FMCG stocks. Names like Britannia, Godrej Consumer, HUL were up in trade, and they got a bit of a shot in the arm after a cut in the import duty on edible oils. From 20%, it's brought down to 10%. Manglam is here with the winners and losers. Manglam?
Well, that's correct. Sometime last September, if you notice, there was an increase in the duty for imported palm oil prices, and as a result of which there was a sharp inflation that we saw in palm oil prices, and the third quarter and the fourth quarter results would show that the FMCG margins had shrunk, specifically for the ones that made soap and biscuit companies, etc. Now, from the peak, we've seen a big decline of almost 25-26% in palm oil prices. Palm oil, and remember PFAD, a derivative of that, are important inputs for both food as well as soap companies. So a lot on the street were hoping for margin expansion for FMCG companies beginning first quarter, second quarter of FY26 itself. And to add to that, now there is a special benefit that is coming from the government, which comes in as a sweetener. So the duty has been reduced from 20% to 10%. So in an anyway downtrending palm oil price market, a duty reduction is just a positive, and that's reflecting in the prices of names like Britannia, HUL and GCPL. On the other hand, though, we are seeing some decline in names like AWL, the erstwhile Adani Wilmar, and Patanjali Foods is seeing a mild green. But remember, these are the ones that do not stand to benefit from reducing prices scenario. Over the last couple of quarters, their EBITDA had seen a big jump because their realizations had increased. Now with palm oil prices coming down, duties coming down, the realization for their key products, the edible oil business, may come down. So as margins for the FMCG companies which are gaining increases, the margins for these companies will reduce. So that's the sum and substance of edible crude oil and the duty reduction.
Okay. All right. Ambareesh, what would your view be on this edible duty oil relief and the impact on FMCG companies?
Yeah, so clearly it is positive for the FMCG companies, especially which are into snacks, as well as the ones into soaps. So stocks like Bikaji, Pratap Snacks, Britannia, HUL, Godrej Consumer, I think all of them will benefit. So I think at the same time, with the sort of monsoons we are looking at now, I think this should also increase the demand for FMCG. So overall, I think one has to be bullish on FMCG at least for the next couple of months.
Got that. Technically, do you want to weigh in with your thoughts right now, Jay, on the FMCG pack, the stocks that Mangalam spoke about, HUL, Britannia, GCPL, Patanjali?
Yeah, sure. I mean, Rima, see, most of the FMCG names are underperforming right now, the overall market, and they've got into the consolidation. I mean, we have through the result season as well. And the stocks are more or less trading quite sideways, I would say. I mean, even if you look at the Nifty FMCG index, that's been trading within a range of say 55,000 to 58,000, and that's a 3,000 points range. And I think still some consolidation is pending. I mean, there was one stock, I mean, ITC, which had actually post-closure gone up, had hinted some breakout, but then we saw the stake sale by back, and the stock eventually corrected and went down. So net the index is trading sideways, and I think most of these stocks are likely to underperform going forward. Definitely, if monsoon is good, which is likely to be, then it's going to benefit this sector, and the stocks are likely to perform going forward. But at least for a month or so, at least in June series, I think one sector which one should keep in mind is the banking, realty, or all the rate sensitive stocks as of now. I mean, they would be in flavor. FMCG might pick up if at all there is some negative surprise out there from the point of view of defensive, not right now.
Okay, rate sensitive should be on top of the agenda, and we've got the RBI MPC this week itself. So the action will continue in these names. Ambareesh, we had two new listings today. One of them is Schloss Bangalore, the owner of Hotel Leela Resorts and Palaces. Quite, in fact, it's a flat close. They managed to recover the early losses. And the other one is Aegis Vopak. Have you studied either? And if someone's not participated in the IPO, they're still getting it pretty much at the issue price.
Yeah, I mean, clearly, the demand for the IPO was very low, especially from the HNI, the non-institutional side of the market, because, the IPOs were decently expensive. They're not cheap. So, I wouldn't recommend buying at this point of time, although, something like Leela could be a good long-term bet. But, I think I would wait for a correction before buying into it.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Well, Jay, talking about recent listings, a fairly new company, Nykaa, came out with its numbers today. What would you do with it chartically?
Well, see, technically, definitely there has been a clear, breakdown in today's trading session. We have seen a good correction coming in the stock. The monthly momentum has been positive. We have seen the stock witnessing some short covering, but then the overall performance has been quite, on the negative side only. I would say that if at all there is a correction till the levels of 180, 175, it would be a good point to enter. That would favor a good risk reward, for going long as well. So buy on dip should be the strategy on Nika. I mean, if it falls another say 10 odd percent, it would be a good medium to long term bet.
Gentlemen, thank you very much, Ambareesh and Jeff, for joining us. With that, we'll get into a break. On the other side, top corporate voices lined up. Along with that, the key market events to watch out for. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching Markets Forward, and these are the top corporate voices that we had on our channel today. Apollo Hospitals right on top, gained over 1%. Speaking to CNBC TV 18's top boss, Sunita Reddy said Apollo Hospitals is targeting an occupancy rate of 70 to 72%, with metro occupancy pegged even higher at 75%, which is currently around 70%. She also pointed out that Apollo Hospitals is moving towards a GMV of 1,000 crore rupees per quarter. She emphasized the company is profitable and has strong margins.
All right, and meanwhile, Ankur Gupta of Schloss, the parent company of the Leela Hotel, said that they are targeting a profit or a PAT of 250 crore rupees by FY27. He also expects the company to grow by over threefold in the next 5 years. That's not all. Ankur Gupta also said that they plan to start monetizing the residences business from FY26. All right, and before we wrap, we'll bring you some of the key events to watch out for in terms of tomorrow's trading session. Vamakshi is here with more.
Well, Ekta, tomorrow we'll be keeping an eye out from as far as the economic cues are concerned. We'll be watching out for the Europe CPI data as well as the US JOLTS job openings. Of course, the Korean markets will be shut, in tomorrow's trading session. But apart from that, as far as specific stocks are concerned, keep an eye out on Yes Bank. There is a board meeting that is scheduled tomorrow. They will be considering fundraising plans. Apart from that, keep an eye out on Tata Motors as well. We will be watching out for the Harrier EV launch. As far as some other stocks are concerned, Nuvama Wealth goes ex-dividend. They will be paying an interim dividend of 69 rupees per share. So Nuvama Wealth goes ex-dividend as well as L&T. And lastly, keep an eye out on ProStarm Info Systems. This is a new kid on the block that will be listing tomorrow. So those were some of the important events that you need to watch out for.
Thank you very much. And that brings us to a close in this edition of Markets Forward. We'll be back with more news and updates on the other side. Stay tuned.